The neon lights of Mayari 9 flickered in the polluted air, casting long shadows over the crowded streets. This planet was no paradise. It was a place for the unwanted, the desperate, and the forgotten. Among them was Silith, a Valerian woman once part of a proud and noble race. But today, she had nothing. No family, no home, no future. Her people had abandoned her. She pulled her tattered cloak tighter around her, feeling the cold of the night. Her silver-blue skin, once adorned with elegant jewelry, was now bare. Her deep violet eyes scanned the streets, searching for any sign of kindness. But there was none. Only danger. Everywhere, creatures of different species prowled, watching, waiting. Slavers, criminals, and mercenaries, all looking for an easy target. And Silith knew she was one. She had to find a way out. Then she saw them. A group of humans sat inside a rough-looking bar, drinking and talking in loud voices. Humans were different from other species. They were warriors, survivors, and feared across the galaxy. Most aliens saw them as violent, unpredictable, even dangerous. But Silith saw something else. She saw hope. Taking a deep breath, she stepped into the bar. The heavy scent of alcohol and smoke filled her lungs, and the noise of laughter and shouting made her ears ring. Every eye turned to her the moment she entered. Conversation stopped. Glasses froze midair. She wasn't welcome here. But she had no choice. Her gaze locked onto one man sitting at a table near the back. He was broad-shouldered, with short brown hair and a scar running down his cheek. His dark green eyes studied her with cold calculation. He looked dangerous. And that was exactly what she needed. "Human," she said, her voice trembling but clear. "I beg you, take me as your wife." The entire bar went silent. Logan Graves blinked. Then he let out a slow sigh and placed his drink down. His companion stared at Silith in shock, waiting to see what he would do. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he leaned back in his chair and folded his arms. "You have 5 seconds to explain why." Silith swallowed hard. "I have no home, no protection. My people left me to die. If you take me as your wife, I will belong to you, and no one will dare harm me." Logan tilted his head. "And what do I get?" She hesitated. "Anything you want." A slow smirk formed on his lips, but there was no humor in his eyes. "You don't even know what you're offering, do you?" Silith clenched her fists. "I know that without you, I am nothing. And I would rather be a human's wife than a slave to monsters." The bar remained silent, waiting for Logan's answer. And for the first time in years, Logan Graves felt something other than emptiness. Curiosity. The silence in the bar stretched, thick with tension. Every eye was on Logan Graves, waiting for his answer. Silith stood before him, trembling but determined. She had nothing left. No family, no wealth, no protection. And yet, she still had the courage to beg a human for help. Logan exhaled slowly, rubbing his jaw. "You want me to take you as my wife?" He let out a dry chuckle. "Lady, you have no idea what you're asking." Silith didn't flinch. "I know exactly what I am asking." Logan studied her. She was Valerian, one of the proudest and most arrogant species in the galaxy. And yet, here she was, standing before a group of dangerous men, throwing away her pride. Why? He glanced around. He wasn't the only one interested in her. Other men in the bar were watching with dark, hungry eyes. If he walked away now, she wouldn't last the night. He sighed. "Sit down." Silith hesitated, then quickly sat across from him. She could hear whispers around the room. Some were amused. Others were curious. But most of them were disappointed. They had been waiting for her to be thrown out. Logan leaned forward. "Let's get one thing straight. I don't do favors. If I take you, I expect something in return." Silith nodded. "I will serve you however you wish." Logan smirked. "Careful with your words, princess. Humans have different expectations from a wife." Her cheeks burned, but she didn't back down. Then teach me. The smirk faded. Logan had expected fear, hesitation, maybe even disgust. But this woman was serious. She had already made up her mind. Before he could say anything, a deep, rumbling laugh broke the moment. A large, reptilian alien stood up from the corner of the room. His yellow eyes gleamed with amusement. "Logan, my friend," the alien hissed, "if you don't want her, I will take her instead." Syleth stiffened. She had seen his kind before, Taveri slavers. If Logan refused her, she knew what would happen. Logan exhaled through his nose. Damn it. He stood up and looked at the Taveri. "She's mine." The alien grinned. "Oh, you claim her." Logan's green eyes darkened. "I do." The bar filled with murmurs. The moment those words left his mouth, it was official. In human culture, claiming a woman meant she was under his protection, and nobody, not even a slaver, would dare challenge a human's claim. The Taveri grunted. "Pity. She would have fetched a good price." With a shrug, he sat back down. Logan turned to Syleth. "You just changed my life, princess." He picked up his drink and downed it in one gulp. "Hope you're worth the trouble." Syleth let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. She was safe. For now. Logan regretted his decision immediately. As soon as they left the bar, Syleth followed him like a shadow. She walked with quiet grace, but he could feel the weight of her presence. What the hell had he just done? Taking her under his protection meant she was now his responsibility. He had spent years avoiding attachments, keeping his life simple, but now he had a Valerian woman calling him husband. He sighed and kept walking. The streets of Mayari 9 were as dangerous as ever. Neon lights flickered against the metal buildings, and the air smelled of oil and smoke. A few slavers watched Syleth as they passed, but none dared approach. Not now. She belonged to a human. Humans had a reputation in the galaxy. They were unpredictable, violent when provoked, and most of all, loyal to their own. Once a human made a promise, they would fight to the death to keep it. Logan glanced at Syleth. Did she understand what she had just done? They reached his ship, the Iron Fang, an old but sturdy cargo vessel. Logan pressed the security code, and the doors hissed open. "Get inside," he said. Syleth obeyed without question. She stepped inside and looked around. The ship was functional, nothing more. No decorations, no luxuries, just weapons, storage crates, and a small living space. She turned to face him. "Thank you, Logan Graves." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Don't thank me yet, princess. We need to talk." He sat down on a metal crate and motioned for her to do the same. She sat across from him, her violet eyes serious. "This isn't a real marriage," he said. "You understand that, right?" She nodded. "It is a contract. I only need your protection." Logan narrowed his eyes. "And what do you offer me in return?" She hesitated, then lifted her chin. "I am skilled in many things. Languages, diplomacy, strategy. I can assist you in trade negotiations. I can cook, clean, and—" She paused, then added, "I am willing to learn whatever else you require." Logan raised an eyebrow. "Whatever I require." Her cheeks flushed, but she didn't back down. "Yes." He smirked. "Relax, princess. I'm not that kind of man." She looked relieved. Logan leaned forward, his tone turning serious. "This deal comes with danger. Your people abandoned you, but that doesn't mean they forgot you. Someone will come looking." Syleth's hands clenched into fists. "Let them come. I would rather die beside a human than crawl back to them." Logan studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "All right, princess. You're my wife now. Let's see if you can survive as one." Outside, in the darkness, unseen eyes watched them. The hunt had already begun. One half, Syleth had never felt safe before. Even as a noblewoman among the Valerian, she had always been surrounded by whispers, betrayals, and political games. But here, Inside Logan Graves' ship, she felt something strange, a sense of protection. Humans were different from her people. They didn't abandon their own. But would Logan truly protect her, or had she only delayed her fate? She didn't have to wait long for an answer. The attack came just before dawn. Logan was in the cockpit, running system checks, when the ship's alarm blared. His head snapped up. Motion sensors triggered. Someone was outside. He moved fast. Gun in hand, knife on his belt. He didn't even stop to put on a shirt, just stormed out in his cargo pants and boots, muscles tensed. Syleth woke to the sound of metal footsteps. She sat up, heart pounding. Had they found her already? Logan pushed the door open. Stay here, no matter what happens. Then he was gone. She didn't listen. Outside the ship, 5 figures stood in the dim alley, weapons drawn. Bounty hunters. Logan cocked his gun. You've got 3 seconds to walk away. The leader, a tall alien with sharp teeth, grinned. No need for violence, human. Just give us the girl. Valerian nobles pay good money for lost-level runaways. Logan's green eyes darkened. She's mine. The alien laughed. Oh, a human thinks he can claim a Valerian. She's worth more than you. Be smart. Sell her, take the money, and walk away. Logan exhaled slowly. Then he shot the alien in the leg. The bounty hunter screamed, collapsing onto one knee. Wrong answer. The others moved fast. Logan moved faster. Humans were always faster. He dodged the first attack, grabbing the alien's wrist and twisting. Bone snapped. A second enemy lunged, but Logan slammed his elbow into their face, knocking them out cold. A third aimed a plasma rifle. Logan shot first. 2 down, 3 standing. Then Syleth stepped outside. I told you to stay inside. Logan shouted. She ignored him. Her gaze locked onto the leader, the one writhing on the ground. This was her fight too. She stepped forward, voice cold. Tell my people I am no longer theirs. I belong to a human now. The alien's eyes widened. You can't mean that. Logan pressed his gun to the bounty hunter's forehead. She just did. Silence. Then the remaining 2 hunters ran. Logan let them go. He looked down at the injured alien. Crawl back to your employers. Tell them if they come again, I'll send them back in body bags. The bounty hunter scrambled away. Logan turned to Syleth, breathing hard. You really meant what you said. She nodded. I did. For the first time, Logan saw it in her eyes. Syleth wasn't just a noblewoman anymore. She was his. The bodies were gone. The alley was silent. But Syleth's words still echoed in Logan's mind. I belong to a human now. He wasn't sure how he felt about that. Inside the Iron Fang, Logan cleaned his weapons while Syleth sat across from him, watching. Her violet eyes were calm, but he could tell her mind was racing. She had just declared herself human property. To Logan, those were just words. To her, it meant everything. Finally, she spoke. You didn't have to fight for me. Logan snorted. Didn't I? If I let them take you, I'd be a liar. He glanced at her. Humans don't break their word. Syleth frowned. But why? I am just a burden to you. Logan leaned back, crossing his arms. That's not how we see things, princess. She tilted her head. Then how do you see things? He hesitated, then sighed. Humans are different. We don't leave people behind. When we make a promise, we keep it. He smirked. Besides, if I let them take you, I'd have to hunt them down later. Might as well save myself the trouble. Syleth didn't smile. Instead, she looked at her hands, deep in thought. Her whole life, loyalty had been nothing but an illusion. Her own people had thrown her away like trash. But this human, this warrior, had fought for her, just because he gave his word. Could she really trust him? Logan stood up and holstered his gun. Get some rest. We leave in the morning. Syleth blinked. Leave? Where? He smirked. Somewhere safer, You think I'm just gonna sit here and wait for more bounty hunters? Syleth felt something strange in her chest. It took her a moment to recognize it. Hope. She nodded. Then I will follow you. Logan rolled his eyes. You don't have much choice, princess. You're my wife now, remember. For the first time in days, Syleth smiled. She still didn't know what her future held. But one thing was certain. As long as she was with Logan Graves, she wouldn't be abandoned again. You said. The iron fang soared through the void of space, leaving Mayari 9 far behind. But danger was never far. Logan sat in the pilot's chair, scanning the radar. No signs of pursuit, yet. But he wasn't stupid. The Valerians wouldn't ignore Syleth's disappearance forever. She had made a choice, and choices had consequences. Behind him, Syleth stood with her arms crossed. Where are we going? A place where I can teach you how to survive. She frowned. I already know how to survive. Logan gave her a sideways glance. Really? And what would you have done if I wasn't there last night? Syleth clenched her fists but didn't answer. She knew the truth. Without Logan, she would be dead or enslaved. Logan smirked. That's what I thought. He switched the ship to autopilot and stood up. If you want to stay alive, you need to learn how to fight. Syleth narrowed her eyes. Valerians do not fight like savages. Logan barked a laugh. Then it's time you start. They moved to the ship's cargo bay. It was large, empty, perfect for training. Logan tossed her a knife. She caught it, but held it awkwardly. This is unnecessary. Logan raised an eyebrow. Princess, people are hunting you. They won't stop just because you look noble. Syleth hesitated, then sighed. Fine. Show me. Logan took his own knife and moved into a fighting stance. First rule, never hesitate. He lunged. Syleth barely had time to react. She stumbled back, trying to block, but Logan disarmed her in seconds. The knife clattered to the floor. Logan stepped back, arms crossed. You're too slow. Syleth glared. You attacked without warning. Logan shrugged. So will the people trying to kill you. She exhaled sharply, then picked up the knife. Again. This time, she was ready. When Logan attacked, she dodged, not gracefully, but enough to avoid the worst of it. He tested her, pushing harder, but she adapted quickly. Minutes passed. Syleth was breathless, sweating, but her stance had improved. Logan grinned. She was a fast learner. After an hour, he finally stepped back. Not bad, princess. Syleth wiped her forehead. Again. Logan chuckled. Tomorrow. She frowned but didn't argue. Her arms ached, her legs felt weak, but for the first time, she felt strong. Logan clapped her shoulder. You've got potential. Maybe you won't die after all. She smirked. And maybe you aren't as bad as I thought. Human. Logan laughed, shaking his head. We'll see about that. But deep inside, he knew Syleth was no longer a helpless noblewoman. She was becoming something else. Something stronger. The iron fang drifted through space, silent and hidden. Logan had taken them off the usual routes, avoiding detection. But he knew one thing for sure. Someone was coming for them. Syleth sat in the co-pilot's seat, her fingers running over the control panel. She had spent the last few days training, learning, becoming stronger. But one question still haunted her. How long until they find me? Logan sighed, adjusting the ship's scanners. Not long. If bounty hunters found you on Mayari 9, it means someone's paying good money for your return. She clenched her jaw. My people would rather see me dead than free. Logan glanced at her. Then we make sure they don't get what they want. A sudden beeping sound filled the cockpit. A ship was approaching. Logan's muscles tensed. He checked the radar. One vessel, small, fast. Syleth stiffened. Valerian. Logan shook his head. No, this is something worse. Before she could ask, the comms crackled to life. A deep, amused voice filled the ship. Logan Graves. You've picked up quite the prize. Logan exhaled through his nose. He recognized that voice. Talon Voss. A bounty hunter. One of the best. Syleth looked at Logan. Who is he? Logan's expression darkened. A problem. Talon chuckled over the comms. Relax, Graves. I'm not here to kill you. I just want the girl. Syleth's hands curled into fists. I will not go back. Talon sighed. See, that's the issue, Princess. Your people want you, and they're paying me a lot of credits to bring you home. Logan leaned forward. Then you'll have to kill me first. Silence. Then Talon laughed. Damn it, Logan. You really are a stubborn bastard. The scanner beeped again. Talon's ship was not alone anymore. More signals appeared. 3, 4, 5 more ships. Syleth's breath caught. We are outnumbered. Logan's grip on the controls tightened. Yeah, but we're not out yet. Talon's voice turned serious. Listen, Graves. I like you, so I'm giving you one chance. Hand her over, and I let you walk away. Logan glanced at Syleth. Her violet eyes burned with defiance. He smirked. Not happening. Talon sighed. Didn't think so. Guess we do this the hard way. The radar flashed red. The enemy ships were locking onto them. Logan grabbed the controls. Hold on, Princess. Things are about to get messy. Syleth clenched her jaw. Then let's show them what a human can do. Logan grinned. Now you're learning. The Iron Fang roared to life, engines flaring. The hunt was over. The real fight had just begun. The Iron Fang shook as the first laser blasts hit the shields. Warning lights flashed across the cockpit. They were under attack. Logan gritted his teeth and gripped the controls. Syleth, weapons system. No. Syleth didn't hesitate. She had never fired a ship's weapons before, but she had trained with Logan long enough to know what to do. Her fingers moved across the console, bringing the turrets online. Weapons ready, she shouted. Logan pulled the ship into a tight roll, dodging another blast. Then start shooting. Syleth locked onto the nearest enemy ship and fired. The laser cannons roared to life, sending red-hot beams slicing through space. One of the smaller fighters took a direct hit, spinning out of control before exploding in a bright flash. She gasped. Her first kill. No time to think. No time for guilt. This was survival. Logan smirked. Not bad, Princess. Keep going. The comms crackled. Talon Voss's voice came through, calm but annoyed. You just made this personal, Graves. Logan rolled his eyes. Didn't it already start that way? Talon's ship, a sleek black interceptor, sped toward them at terrifying speed. He fired a plasma missile. Syleth, countermeasures. Now. Syleth hit the defense controls. Flares launched just in time. The missile exploded harmlessly in the distance. But Talon wasn't done. His ship spun, darting behind them. Logan knew what was coming next, a precision shot to their engines. He made a split-second decision. Hold on. Instead of dodging, Logan did the unexpected. He cut the engines completely. The Iron Fang suddenly stopped moving, letting Talon's ship overshoot them. Now, Logan yelled. Syleth fired everything. The cannon struck Talon's ship directly, sending sparks and fire through its hull. The enemy interceptor spun wildly before stabilizing. Talon growled over the comms. Damn you, Graves. Logan smirked. Told you, Talon. You picked the wrong fight. The remaining bounty hunters hesitated. Their leader was damaged. The reward wasn't worth dying for. One by one, they turned and retreated. Talon's ship lingered for a moment. Then, with a final burst of energy, he disappeared into hyperspace. The battle was over. Logan let out a slow breath, hands still gripping the controls. We made it. Syleth sat back, her heart pounding. We won. Logan turned to her, a grin spreading across his face. Damn right we did. For the first time, Scylla felt something more than just survival. She felt free. But she knew one thing. This wasn't the end. Her people would come again. And next time, they wouldn't send bounty hunters. Next time, they would send an army. The Iron Fang cruised through deep space, silent and steady. The battle was over, but Logan knew it was only a temporary victory. Scylla sat beside him in the cockpit, her fingers still trembling from the fight. She had killed, fought, and survived. Yet, her mind refused to rest. She turned to Logan. What happens now? Logan exhaled. Now, we disappear. Scylla frowned. Do you really think they will stop looking for me? Logan smirked. No, but they'll have a hell of a time finding us. The reality was clear. They were fugitives. Valyrian nobles did not accept betrayal. If they wanted Scylla back, they would come with ships, soldiers, and war. And Logan would be the only thing standing in their way. The ship's warning system beeped. Incoming message. Logan frowned and pressed the button. The holoscreen flickered to life, revealing a Valyrian elder, a woman with silver skin and piercing golden eyes. Scylla gasped. Mother. The elder's expression was cold. My daughter, you have brought shame upon our family. Scylla's hands curled into fists. I brought shame. You abandoned me. The elder's gaze flickered to Logan. And now you choose to serve a human. Logan leaned back, smirking. She doesn't serve me. She stands with me. The elder's voice was ice. Do not fool yourself, human. My daughter was born for power, not for your pathetic life among the stars. Scylla stood tall. Then you don't know me at all. The elder sighed. Enough of this foolishness. Come home, Scylla. Surrender, and you will live. Logan's fingers hovered over the controls, ready to cut the transmission. But Scylla took a step forward. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with newfound strength. I am not coming back. The elder's expression darkened. Then you leave us no choice. The screen flickered off. Logan exhaled. That went well. Scylla turned to him. They are coming. Logan smirked, stretching his arms. Good. Let them. Scylla gave him a curious look. You are not afraid. Logan chuckled. Princess, I've spent my whole life fighting battles I wasn't supposed to win. He cracked his knuckles. What's one more? Scylla stared at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. She had made her choice, and now she would fight for it. No more running, no more fear. If war was coming, then they would face it together. The Iron Fang hovered in the darkness of space, silent, waiting. Logan stood on the bridge, checking his weapons. This was it. The Valyrians were coming. Not bounty hunters. Not mercenaries. A real battle fleet. Scylla stood beside him, her violet eyes calm but determined. She was no longer the frightened noblewoman he had met in the alley. She was something more now. A warrior. A survivor. His partner. The radar beeped. Enemy ships incoming. Logan smirked. Looks like your family sent the welcome party. Scylla's voice was steady. Then we show them we are not afraid. The first attack came fast. Valyrian fighters swarmed the Iron Fang, lasers cutting through the void. Logan spun the ship, weaving between enemy fire. Scylla, take the turrets. She didn't hesitate. She opened fire, blasting enemy ships out of the sky. The woman who once feared combat now fought without mercy. More ships closed in. The Iron Fang was outnumbered. Logan gritted his teeth. They're pushing us toward the blockade. Scylla's fingers flew over the controls. We need an escape route. Logan smirked. I have an idea. He dove the ship toward the nearest Valyrian cruiser. Scylla's eyes widened. Are you insane? Trust me, Logan shouted. At the last second, he cut the engines, letting gravity pull them close. The Valyrian ships followed, too close. Now, Logan yelled. Scylla fired the rear cannons, blasting the cruiser's shields. The explosion sent shockwaves through the enemy fleet. The Valerian ships panicked, colliding into each other. The path was clear. Loken slammed the hyperdrive. Hold on. With a burst of light, the Iron Fang jumped into hyperspace, vanishing before the Valerians could recover. Minutes later, they reappeared in a quiet sector of space. They had escaped. Loken leaned back, exhaling. Told you it would work. Syleth stared at him, then laughed. A real, genuine laugh. You are reckless, human. Loken grinned. And you love it. She smirked. Perhaps. For the first time in her life, she was free. No chains, no expectations, no fate written by others. Only the stars ahead and a future she would carve with her own hands. She turned to Loken. So, where do we go next? Loken smirked, setting a new course. Anywhere we damn well please. As the Iron Fang disappeared into the void, Syleth knew one thing. This was only the beginning.